Hi, True Avatars, and welcome to your weekly queer video game podcast. This is episode 46, and I am your host, Zoe Wild. I am a transgender and bisexual woman, and my pronouns are she, her. So, now that I'm all done with my move, praise Arceus, I can finally get everyone who listens to the show and my guests caught up on all the news the last few weeks, because there was a lot. Although, to be honest, it was like the amount of news we had was like the amount of like a week and a half, thankfully. It wasn't like a lot. And joining me for this episode, this big catch-up episode, this big, and we've got a cool topic as well, but joining me this week is Cleo. Cleo is a trans woman, gamer, and Souls-like aficionado. Cleo's pronouns are it and she, her. Hi, Cleo. How are you?
I'm great. I'm awesome. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be back. You've kept me around for one more episode.
Well, yeah, well, as we were talking about before recording, you might have to turn in your gamer card by the time this episode is up, but we'll see.
We don't have to talk about that. I'm going to go now. Instead of later.
All right, it's just a solo episode now. Cleo is heading out.
I'm just going to sneak down, just slowly sink down in the frame.
Well, Cleo, you are joining for a pretty packed episode because we got a bunch of headlines here. Bit Summit and Wholesome Games Celebration had some queer games highlighted. There was a ton of Nintendo news, including 2 directs and several updates about queer games that are coming to Switch, and I think Switch 2. The last few weeks have seen a bunch of layoffs as well, unfortunately. Itch.io or Itch.io, depending on how you pronounce it, is the next platform censored by the payment processor Overreach, so we're going to catch up on that as well. And Silksong has some good news, believe it or not. And then there's a whole bunch more news. And Cleo's like looking at me like, Silksong has good news though, is it?
I don't believe you. Silksong's not real. It'll never be real.
Well, get your clown makeup ready because we're going to be talking Silksong today.
Darn it.
But today's segment actually, because we're not just going to focus on the payment processor stuff, although that is going to be an important topic that we're probably going to be covering week to week as this story evolves. But we had our first ever listener request, and this comes from Harumi. They say, hey there, are Soulsborne games something you'd be interested in talking about? Sorry if the answer should be self-evident. I very recently started listening in, and I'm very slowly getting acquainted with your backlog. So thanks, Harumi. Thank you so much for the request. I'm honored that you're our first request. And Soulsborne games are totally something that we can talk about. The reason I've never talked about Soulsborne games, or Souls-like as some people call them, it's because I don't play them. They scare me shitless. So I just, so some context here. Back in episode 43, I introduced Cleo to the show. She's our new guest. And, when we were supposed to record episode 43, right before we started recording, the payment processor controversy hit the news wave, like the airwaves, news waves, whatever you want to call it. And so immediately I was like, well, we can do Soulsborne and, anyway, so context here. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm still really tired from the move, just to be clear. Anyway, I asked Cleo on to talk about Soulsborne games because Cleo, you play Soulsborne games. You like them. In fact, we're going to talk very specifically about Elden Ring, Nightreign as well. I almost called it Elden Ring. Anyway.
Close enough.
As you can tell, still very tired. But anyway, so of course that payment processor news hit and the three of us decided that the Souls-like topic had to be pushed because the payment processor stuff was going to take up an entire episode, which it did. So I'm very happy that you joined me for that. And the thing you joined for was not the thing we talked about, but today we're going to make up for that. Excuse me.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. So, I can't always guarantee a listener request is going to be, lead to an entire segment. But since Soulslikes are sorely neglected on the podcast, I figured a whole segment dedicated to them would be great for catching up on all the Soulslikes we have not been talking about. But this is going to be a packed episode, so I'm going to stop rambling. We're going to keep it to the headlines, the Soulslike segment. There'll be no queer game of the week or what we've been playing, unfortunately. But they'll be back in short order, I promise. And before we jump into the news, I have a few quick favors to ask of you true avatars, as I always do. If you like this podcast, please leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. Spotify has ratings and comments, while Apple has reviews. Engagement like comments, ratings, and reviews helps to grow the podcast, and a growing podcast means a happy podcast host, me, who is forever happy and fulfilled that you enjoy listening to her show, which creates an infinite feedback loop of more podcast episodes and more growth, and thus more happiness for me, and then the listeners as well. So please, go leave a comment, rating, and or review. Also, please follow True Avatars, a queer video game podcast on social media. There are accounts on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube, all the places, at True Avatars, and you can also find the podcast on the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com, no spaces. And remember, this is a weekly queer video game podcast, so check in every week. I aim to bring you news, interviews, and updated discussions that are relevant to queer gamers. So you have a safe space to check in on the world of gaming from a 2S LGBTQIA+ lens. All right. Shall we jump into the news, Cleo?
Let's do it.
Okay. So we got a couple headlines here that should be, in a normal episode, these would be a bigger topic, but we're going to have to kind of fly through these because Bit Summit and Wholesome Game Celebration had a bunch of queer games revealed, announced, trailers, demos, all kinds of stuff. There are way too many games in general to talk about all of them, especially Bit Summit. There were a lot. But anyway, for some context, Bit Summit was a few weeks ago. It's a video game convention conference event that is held in Japan, in Kyoto specifically. It's in person actually, and I think it's technically called an Indie Game Development Festival. So anyway, I found 3 games that I'd like to highlight today that are queer. The first one is called Bits and Bops. I'm just going to pull open the link here.
I'm in love with this game. I've played the demo. I'm one of the ones I'm most excited for.
Did you play the demo after reading the notes, or had you already played the demo?
No, I played the demo as soon as it came out. I'm a huge fan of these kinds of rhythm games, or just rhythm games in general, but this kind of game is kind of my favorite thing, like Rhythm Heaven style.
Yeah, I was going to say, it reminds me of Rhythm Heaven. Actually, I think it looks better than I can't speak today. Rhythm Heaven. I hope I said that correctly. But anyway, since you know about this game, can you tell listeners about it?
It is like it says on the tin. It's a rhythm game with a collection of different style mini games, from nailing. I can't speak either. We're both in the same boat. Hitting nails on the head with a hammer, to minecart races, to taking pictures of seals. Like, it's all based on the music, and the music the demo anyway is great. It's a lot of fun. If you like Rhythm Heaven, I think this is right up your alley. Although I think the bird one, where you're 2 birds kind of tweeting back at each other, is one of my favorites from what I played.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
It is incredibly cute, and I love it.
It's like there's a blue bird here and a yellow bird kind of tweeting at each other. And it reminds me of like the Twitter bird, or I guess the Blue Sky bird at this point too. Although, is there a bird on Blue Sky? I know there's a butterfly. Anyway, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
So the Twitter bird, I guess. And it looks like kind of like Tweety Bird a little bit. Like they're kind of tweeting at each other, which is funny. Mm-hmm. Anyway, remember when tweeting meant chirping like a bird? It didn't mean spouting shitty opinions on the internet?
I haven't heard that definition of that word in a long time. I've been on the internet for, I have to go. I have to leave.
All right, Cleo's leaving again, so it's become a solo show.
Goodbye. I'm back, sorry.
So Bits and Bops comes from Temple Lab Games. And let me just see here. It doesn't have the queer tag. But I do believe someone on the dev team is queer. I cannot remember specifically how I discovered that this game is queer. But given that it resonates with queer people, I think it's also a decent reason enough to talk about. So before we move on to another game, do you have anything else to say about Bits and Bops?
I would say check it out. Play the demo. I think it's going to be a fun one.
Because this demo was added as part of, I guess it was Bit Summit that added the demo. So I'm not sure if this demo is going to be available forever, but there's also the Wholesome Game Celebration that's happening as we record. So it might have been re-uploaded. I know a lot of demos got re-uploaded because of Wholesome Game Celebration. So I'm not sure. But if you do miss the demo, this game is due for release in Q3 2025, which is really soon, actually. Is that, that's July, September, August, September, right? My math is correct. Yeah, so we're in Q3. Right. So this game is coming out soon. All right. The next game I want to talk about is from Rocket Adrift. So I interviewed Rocket Adrift back in episode 21. I covered their games in episode 20. I think those are the numbers. Go back and check those out. They're great. Especially the interview episode. It's really, really good. I've done a bunch of interviews up to that point, but that was the first interview I'd done with devs that I had not met before, specifically developers. So I was really excited about it. So please go check that out. I'm really proud of that one. But they are working on a new game, and it is called Dead Finger Dice, a billionaire killing game. So I'm just going to pull open this link here. And you basically, here's the description. It describes it better than I could. Play a sinister game of poker dice against bloodthirsty demon billionaires who've trapped you on their mega yacht in this roguelike dice builder. So I've watched some gameplay that they've been posting on their Blue Sky account for the last few months, and I gotta say, I don't fully understand it. Admittedly, I have not had time to play the demo yet. In fact, last time I checked, I don't think there was a demo. I think the demo might be recent. But it's got this black, it looks like Psychroma if Psychroma was black and white. Like, for anyone who might have played Psychroma, it like had this like this like kind of psychedelic, grungy kind of look to it. Like Rapture Boyfriend is a completely like their game before Psychroma looks very wildly different from Psychroma, but Psychroma and Dead Finger Dice kind of look in line visually, aside from the lack of color in Dead Finger Dice. But it's got that like 16-bit style if 16-bit had advanced past like the Game Boy Advance era. So, and it's a billionaire killing game. What's not to love?
That sounds like the perfect time to me. I mean,
well, you know what? We don't condone killing billionaires here. We're just saying that there's a game where you can simulate the killing of demon billionaires, you know? So.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, I don't know when this is planned for release, although I distinctly remember, and I don't know if this was in the interview or shortly after the interview, but they were working, Rocket Adrift said they were working on a smaller game, so it would not take as long as like a Raptor Boyfriend or a Psychroma would take. They specifically planned this to be, like, scoped it out to be something shorter and easier to manage development-wise. So, again, I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know, like, if, you know, like, let's say, I think Psychroma took 3-4 years. So I don't think it'll take that long, but I don't think Psychroma came out last year, so I don't, they have not been working on this for that long. So anyway, there's one more game, and I said I would be quick about this, but, there's another rhythm game here called I Write Games, Not Tragedies. And I think this does have the LGBTQ plus tag. Yes, it does. And it's pretty high up there as well, which is nice, because sometimes they bury the LGBTQ plus tag, like, far down. Sometimes for good reason. But anyway, this is I Write Games, Not Tragedies. It's an emo-inspired narrative rhythm game exploring growing pains, addiction, romance, and music. Scream with Ash as he makes the transition from baby bat to elder emo, guide him through his growing pains, and help him navigate his dirtbag life through music. Cleo, is this a rhythm game you have heard of?
This is the first time I'm hearing about it, and I will probably give it a go. Yeah,
well, it doesn't look like there's a demo just yet. Which is actually not to put pressure on the devs. It's a little disappointing. It's really nice when rhythm games have a demo, because like, even though you don't get the full experience, I feel like rhythm games, like, demos are good for them because you kind of get like a good taste of what the whole experience might be like. Whereas like an RPG is like, well, here's 10 minutes of the story, right?
Yeah.
But like you're, like some of the footage here, like you're kind of like syncing up with the words as they kind of scroll on screen. There's a lot of like emo mid-2000s art style here. It's got that like, that art style where the lines aren't, the same for every frame. Like, so it's kind of wavy around the edges. I don't know how to describe that. I know nothing about animation, and I work in film. I should know more, but, it looks really cute. It looks really fun. The music is really good. It's got that like mid-2000s, like My Chemical Romance, like punk. I don't even know if My Chemical Romance is punk. I am not a punk music listener. I dabble. But the music sounds really good too, and it comes from Studio Wife, and it's coming soon, so.
It does look like a good time. Definitely put that on my list.
Everyone should put it on their list. And those are the 3 games I chose to highlight from Bit Summit. There were a bunch more, especially games we've already talked about as well. Please go through the list. There's a lot of games, and not just queer games too, and I highly recommend checking out all the games you might be interested in playing from Bit Summit. The page is still up. You just type in on Google Bit Summit 2025, or you can go down to the show notes. I forgot I'm going to have show notes. Wow, I'm so out of it today. In the show notes, you can find the Bit Summit 2025 link where all the games are listed. Oh boy. Oh, and so for the Wholesome Game Celebration, super quick, which we're recording on Friday. Yesterday was Thursday. This when the Wholesome Game Celebration started. I was going through the games that were on the list, and I didn't find any queer games that were new to me. Everything that was in that celebration are games that we've talked about on the podcast before. And in the interest of time, I just can't highlight any of those games, but lots of ones you know about. A couple from devs we've interviewed. And also, Quality Dreams Reasonably Priced. I interviewed Endelian back in, I want to say it was episode 28. When I interviewed them, that game now has a release date. It's coming September 8th. So just a little bit longer to wait for that one. And now there's other stuff in the last couple of weeks. There were 2, not 1, but 2 Nintendo Directs that didn't answer any of our questions about when, Metroid Prime and Kirby Air Riders and Splatoon Raiders, oh, those sound too similar, are coming out this fall. We have no idea. No release dates. But we first off had a partner showcase. And I just want to quickly talk about the 4 games I'm most excited about, or at least I think listeners will be most excited about. So first off, Pac-Man World 2 finally got announced. Can I get a scream in the chat? I'm probably the only person that's really excited for that game, but I screamed so loud that I scared my dog. I felt really, really bad.
How mean. How mean.
I know. Yeah, she was very stressed after, and I felt really bad. But it's not every day that your second favorite 3D platformer of all time gets a remake announced. One that every time there's a Pac-Man tweet, I go in the comments, I'm like, where's Pac-Man World 2? Where is it? And it's finally here. So Pac-Man World 2 repack is coming September 26th. It looks gorgeous. It looks very faithful too, which is really nice. It's like they've got they had the music in the trailer, and I was like, that's the music. Like I know it so well. It's like if they remade Super Mario Sunshine, you know the Al Delfino theme, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway. So that's coming. Monster Hunter Stories 3 was the opening announcement. I may have also screamed for that because I'm very, very excited for them. I love the Monster Hunter Stories games. I think they're great. Never finished one, just because they're like big RPGs, but I've started all of them and I think they're great. And I'm very excited to start and not finish number 3. It has a terrible, subtitle. Like it's called Twisted Reflection. And I think Wings of Ruin was such a great subtitle for the second one. Like it implies monster. Twisted Reflection doesn't as much to me imply. Anyway, if that sounds very Square Enix RPG and not Monster Hunter Dragon. I mean, I guess no, Monster Hunter is not. Yeah, it's Capcom, right?
It's Capcom. Yeah, Capcom.
Okay. And then the other 2 games were Octopath Traveler 0, which I've never played any of those, but I know Graham, who's a semi-regular guest. I know he's very much into the Octopath Traveler game, so I'm sure he was screaming in his place over Octopath Traveler 0, which is a prequel to the first 2. And then this really cool game that I want to talk about, because it kind of it had the terrible naming in the trailer for both the towns, the characters, and the game overall. So everyone kind of wrote it off until the demo came out, but it's called The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. Garbage name. Absolutely garbage name. Terrible name for a new IP. However, Square Enix is making an HD 2D Zelda-like. It's not an RPG. They call it an action RPG. It's not. It's a Zelda game. It's 2D. It's Link to the Past with HD 2D Square Enix vibes. And holy shit. I only played 20 minutes of the demo. I only had time for that, but it's so, so good. You've got to go try the demo while it's available. Cleo, did you give it a try?
I wish I could have said I wish I could say right now that I did, but I don't have a Switch 2, so I can't. Right,
it's only Switch 2.
Play it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forget about that. Not that you don't have one, that it's only a Switch 2 game.
Yeah, if it were on a Switch, I would definitely play it, but
I don't see why it couldn't be. It doesn't look like it's doing anything advanced under the. But anyway, I don't know anything about game development, so
who knows? Maybe there's something with the engine and the performance on the Switch 2 where it's we can't backport. Oops. It's hard to say right now.
Were there any games on the partner showcase from a couple weeks ago that you were interested in?
I think the ones you've highlighted and maybe Hyrule Warriors.
Oh yeah,
but I love Hyrule. What was the first one? I can't remember the subtitle for the first one. But
are we talking Definitive Edition, the one with the crossover, or are we talking the Breath of the Wild one?
Oh, I think I played the original Breath of the Wild one.
Okay, that was Age of Calamity.
Age of Calamity, yeah.
Yeah,
I love those. Yeah. So I'm really excited for that one.
Me too.
Oh my God, where'd my show notes go? I lost them immediately. I'm having a time. But I think the ones you've listed and then that one on top of it are probably the ones I'm most excited for, just in general.
Oh, wow, we vibe. I was going to mention Hyrule Warriors, but they didn't actually announce any new information in it. And also, including a release date, and it's okay, this game is 4 months away, Nintendo. What's the release date? Why show a trailer if you have nothing new to tell us? The footage looks great, though, so I will say that. Yeah.
That's what I'm really pumped about.
Sorry, say it again?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I'm steamrolling us now, right? I'm so sorry. I feel like there's so much pressure to get through the news. I'm just kind of blowing through it. But feel free to hop in at any point for these Indie World games, because then the second direct we had was this week. It's the same day as the Wholesome Game Celebration. So they're just game announcements after game announcements after game announcements, which is good for fans of video games, bad for podcast hosts who are trying to keep track of everything. Good problem to have, but a problem nonetheless. So there was an announcement for Neverway is coming to Nintendo Switch, and it was also coming to PC. Neverway is the Celeste composer is working on this game. We've talked about it before, but it's like the Nega Stardew Valley. So it's this girl goes to a small town to basically do Stardew Valley, but when she gets there, she becomes the herald for this returning deity, or maybe even a demon. So, it's got a lot more RPG elements. It's like, it looks like there's a lot more combat, but it's basically, you're like in a farm town. You're like in like this rural town as a farmer, and you are dating people, and you are also being summoned to hell, basically.
Sounds like a great time.
And
with
it is
Lena Rain composing.
Yeah, that's true. And also, I did ask the devs, and you can date, you're playing as a girl, but you can romance men or women in the game. So it does have player sexuality, in the game. I don't know if there's going to be like queerness to any of those romances. Stardew Valley doesn't really have any queerness. It's just kind of like a blanket, like you're just going to date. And anyway, we've debated this in the player sexuality episode. I think that was episode 27. We did that, I think. So if you're interested in our conversation on player sexuality, please go back and listen to that episode. It's around episode 27. If I had my bearings, I could tell you.
Just to correct a little bit, did you say the composer for Celeste?
I think is the composer for Celeste, is it not?
I'm looking at the Steam page. It's the pixel artist of Celeste, and Disaster Piece is the
right. The composer for Fez. The composer for Fez and the artist from Celeste. Okay, I was completely wrong. But Celeste vibes nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for correcting me. People were in the comments. Anyone we have in the comments about Zoe is wrong.
Zoe, you are. I'm sorry to say this. I need you to turn in your gamer card. No.
All right. Well, you have to turn in yours as well if we get to the little thing in the Soulslike discussion, because I don't know how you can play. I'm just going to spoil a little bit about what the discussion is. I don't know how you can play Soulslikes and not play this game.
We'll talk about it. All right. Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh yeah, it was episode 27 for the player sexuality debate. Super quick. Also, there was a release date for Demon School. I've previously talked about this in another episode. It is another queer game, or at least I'm getting queer vibes from this game. And when I retweeted it, a lot of queer people liked it. So I have a feeling it is definitely a queer game. It's Demon School, September 3rd. It was mentioned in the Japan indie world, not the US or the European or the Australian ones, for whatever reason. But it is coming to every platform imaginable on September 3rd. Not old ones, but like current ones. And have you heard of Demon School?
No, first time hearing about it. But looking at it on Steam, it looks right up my alley.
It's definitely got bisexual lighting vibes and all the key art, so... there were a bunch of not queer games. Super quick. UFO 50, a game I've been really excited for to come to Switch because it's getting a physical copy via Fangamer, and I'm so excited. UFO 50 is basically a collection of 50, like NES era, like Atari era style games from this like fictional game developer from that time period. And like basically the timeline of the games they would have released over the course of like the late 70s to like the early 90s, I think. And how these games like evolve, and like there's like even sequels within like to their own games in there. Anyway, it's all a fictional like collection of video games, as if like Atari did their own collection of video games, you know, chronicling their development, like their history as developers. But it was all made by like a small team of people creating 50 unique games. There was also Herdling, which is coming from the Far devs. So if you've played those two boat games, where like the side-scrolling boat games, have you played those, Cleo?
I don't think I have.
You have to. They're so good. If you especially, have you played Inside?
Yes.
Okay, if you like Inside, you're going to love the Far games.
And now I'm picturing them. Now I know what they are in my head. I haven't played them, but I know what they are.
All right, gamer card time.
We don't got to talk about it.
But for anyone who hasn't played the Far games, basically you're like navigating this boat in a site, like as a side scroller, but you're navigating this boat and you've got to like keep the engines going. You got to keep the lights on. You've got to like get over, you know, obstacles and stuff like that. It's a puzzle platformer, basically, of sorts. And then they made a sequel, which has a really fun, minor spoilers, but like it has a really fun way that it connects to because it's a different boat, a different story, but it has a really fun way that it connects to the original game and they're short games too, like Inside. I think they took me 4 or 5 hours each. And I think, at least at the time I played them, they were on Game Pass. So they might be on Game Pass as well. But anyway, this dev team is making a 3D game called Herdling, where basically you're herding these like bison looking things. And you gotta kind of like get them over obstacles too, just kind of like the boat. And like, yeah, it looks really cute. I don't want to talk about it too much more because I'll be here forever gushing about it. But, that is coming to, that's actually coming, in a couple weeks. It's coming, less than 2 weeks actually.
The 21st.
August 21st to Steam, PS5, Xbox, and Switch One. Then there was Ball Pit, which is basically Breakout Beyond, or like the game Breakout. I've been playing Breakout Beyond, but Breakout, but more isometric. And yeah, it's like basically, yeah, it's like I think it's a roguelike, where you're trying to like, and I think it's also a town builder where basically you're like trying to break down your use balls to break down things in your path. And as you build up your town and as you get further into the game, you like recruit people from the town and they bring more balls to this quote unquote ball pit, basically. And you can keep knocking more things down with more balls, basically. I'm not explaining this really well, but apparently like it's this year's Balatro is what I'm hearing from like a lot of people. Ooh. And I can see that. So anyway, it's coming to Steam, Switch, Xbox, PC, October 15th and Switch 2 this fall. Cleo, do you have any thoughts on this ball pit?
I lost too many hours in Balatro, and I don't think I need another one, but it does look like fun, and I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a demo, but if there is, go check it out. Oh, perfect. Yeah, it seems like the kind of thing I think a lot of people are gonna like. First, I was like hesitant on it because I was like, it doesn't look like a real ball pit to me. It's not like the ball pit you see at like a playground, for example. It's more like it's like Breakout. And I've been playing Breakout Beyond, because it's just like this gorgeous eye candy, like kind of Tetris Effect version of Breakout, which is like the game where you like bounce balls off a wall. It's kind of like one-sided Pong where you're breaking down a brick wall. For anyone who doesn't remember what Breakout is or doesn't know, but
that just looks like fun.
Breakout Beyond is really, really fun and it's super cheap too. I was hoping for a physical copy, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I bought it digital. But since I like Breakout Beyond quite a bit, I might actually pick up Ball Pit, even though at first I was like, I don't understand what the appeal of this is. Now that I'm like into Breakout, I think Ball Pit is like the next thing, you know?
It's the next step.
And also this has a demo as well on every platform. Mina the Hollower, it's coming to everything. It is, the Shovel Knight devs. I think it's the Shovel Knight devs, and they are making basically a Game Boy Color era style Zelda-like game. And it's coming October 31st, and it looks awesome. But it's a game I'm going to wait for a physical for, because you know it's going to get a beautiful, gorgeous physical edition. And it's a Zelda-like game, so you know it's like worth it. You know what I mean? Like, It's the kind of collectible game you want. So.
It's one of the few games I've kickstarted.
Oh, Mina the Hollower, really?
Yeah.
Ooh. What rewards are you going to get?
I think I only went with like the game and the soundtrack. I think I got a couple. I didn't get very high. I didn't have much money at the time, so.
That's so cool, though, that you were able to back it. I don't think I even knew about it when it was, like, being kickstarted.
Yeah, the moment I heard about it, I was like, oh, yes, this one. Mine. Thanks.
I think if I had heard about it, too, I would have, like... Especially if it had, like, a physical copy, kind of, like, to entice me, I might have done that. Okay, so moving on. We have some good news. Call of Duty workers have unionized. This comes from Video Games Chronicle. A group of 19 quality assurance workers at Call of Duty studio Raven Software have unanimously voted to ratify their first union contract with Microsoft. I'm quoting from the article, by the way. The contract guarantees a 10% wage increase over 2 years, the option to permanently work from home for most QA workers, new measures to tackle crunch culture, and a defined process for promotions and salary increases. End quote. So this is pretty good news, even if it's only 19 people.
19 people is a start.
It almost makes me wonder why there wasn't more people, you know?
I mean, I imagine there was like outside pressure. I'm sure they had union busters in there day in, day out being like, don't do it. You'll lose benefit. Like, don't do it. Which I know is not allowed. I don't think in the States anyway it is, but they would do it anyway. Yeah,
unions are a gray area until they're formed, and then it becomes very illegal to do anything. But like when you're trying to form them, it's like if anyone breathes a word of it, it's suddenly like, all right, we're going to nuke everyone from orbit. So
yeah, it's time to tell everyone how bad they are, and here's all the benefits you get. Oh, you're not being abused, I swear. Pinky promise. Pinky promise.
So moving on though, because we've got to get through some smaller headlines here. Some queerish games are coming to Switch 2. Borderlands 4 finally has a release date for Switch 2. It's coming Friday, October 3rd, which is 3 weeks after the release on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. Also, Assassin's Creed Shadows was rated for Nintendo Switch 2 by PEGI, the European rating board, when they added Switch 2 to its listing for the game. Ubisoft also confirmed it's coming to quote-unquote other machines. So it's not officially announced, but it's all, but I mean, again, I expected that to be in the Nintendo Partner Showcase a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't. So have you played or are planning to play either of these?
I'm planning on playing Borderlands. I wasn't originally, just because of Borderlands 3 being an unmitigated kind of disaster in my eyes. seeing the trailers they put out for the characters, I think I'm kind of all into it. It looks kind of fun, and I'm back in. I haven't played Assassin's Creed in a while. They haven't really put anything out that's attracted me to it. Shadows looks like a good time, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to go into it until it's on sale. Or like that's a bigger sale than it has been.
Yeah. I mean, it's been $30 off, which is a good price, but it needs to be a lot cheaper for me to buy it, because especially since it's like a big time suck for me.
Exactly. I have enough as it is with Final Fantasy and other games I'm trying to play. It's like, I don't need another one. I don't.
It's true. Yeah, these big games are both amazing and also like killers of my time. Like it's almost like, yay, a bunch of 100-hour experiences that I don't have time to play.
I will play 20 hours of it and say, great, moving on.
Yeah. Guilty Gear Strive update is finally coming to Nintendo Switch. The release window is fall 2025. The fall 2025 update, and I'm quoting here, is expected to bring it up to speed with the latest version, including not only playable character additions, but also, quote, digital figures, balance adjustments, and ranked matches. Additionally, we are addressing issues where text is difficult to read in some language settings. Please look forward to the update. So the thing I thought was super interesting is not only is Bridget part of this game, the famous trans woman, but also Cyberpunk Edgerunner's character Lucy is being added to the game as well. And Cyberpunk is famously a very queer franchise. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if Lucy herself is queer, but I have not watched Edgerunners, so.
I'll fully admit I've watched the first episode and I kind of didn't continue. I thought it was
That's
great,
fair.
but I just need to make time.
So much time. Yeah, I canceled my Netflix, so I probably won't be getting around to it until I might grab it for a couple months and just like catch up on a bunch of shows. I think I've been forgetting to add Cyberpunk to the list of shows to watch. Also, I've been kind of waiting till I play the game. And again, I said I was going to pick up a physical copy for Switch 2 and play it. And I picked up the physical copy and then promptly got really busy with moving and I did not have time to play it. And now the wave of fall games is almost upon us. And I am like Pokemon comes out and Ghost of Yotei and Pac-Man.
A lot coming out real soon.
Metal Gear Solid, Borderlands 4. Lots of queer games, too, that I'm like, we have to talk about this on the show. Or rather, we get to talk about these on the show, because I think these are really cool games we get to talk about. But it also means that, like, my time is going to go to those instead of, like, my backlog, which sorely needs some attention as well. How's your backlog?
That's
not fair. That's really mean for me to call you out like that. Yeah.
Hey,
No, that was very, very rude of me. I'm a bad podcast host for that.
No, it's fine. Call me out. It's not going to make it any better. If you saw the amount of games I've purchased lately and have not played,
well, we're not going to talk. We don't want to talk about it. But just,
another episode.
Be a little secret. If you're listening to this podcast, you don't bring up Cleo's backlog.
What backlog?
It's not polite.
I play them all. Yeah. All of them.
Another queer game getting switched to, in news at least, is Switch 2 upgrade, actually, is Apex Legends. So, quote, enjoy up to 60 FPS, depending on monitor/hardware capability and compatibility, 1920 by 1080 docked, 1792 by 1008 undocked. When you log in, you'll be directed to the eShop to download Apex Legends on Nintendo Switch 2. You'll be able to delete Apex Legends for Nintendo Switch after you log into the updated version, and they're adding mouse support. Instant seamless switching, apparently. So like Metroid Prime, when I played that at the Switch 2 event, you could just like literally put the Joy-Con down as a mouse and it would immediately figure out, oh, you're playing with mouse mode now. And then when you picked it up, it was like, okay, we're back in controller mode. It was very like, you didn't have to wait or anything. Like it was literally just like boom, 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 boom. I know no one can see me right now, but I'm just like kind of making the motion of like picking up and putting down a controller. It was like really, really buttery smooth.
That just sounds great.
And that update is available now. Do you play Apex Legends?
I haven't played it in a long time. I fell out of it really hard when my group kind of fell apart, and we just never picked it back up again. But I was a dedicated Lifeline main because I just like playing healers.
I know what that means. Yep. I definitely know what all that means. I know what healer means.
Perfect.
If you log in by September 16th, you'll get a free Pathfinder skin as well. So I don't know if that applies to the other platforms or if that other platforms have ever gotten that Pathfinder skin. But on Switch 2, if you play there, you get the free Pathfinder skin. So that's pretty cool.
Hooray.
We have one more Switch 2 bit of news here. It's just a small thing. I generally don't talk about sales figures on the podcast because I think they're kind of, even though they're like, they scratch an itch in my brain that I really like to scratch. They're like, they take up a lot of time and they're not really that exciting for most people. But anyway, this is notable because Deltarune outsold Mario Kart World on the eShop. Now, it's with an asterisk because it still didn't actually outsell Mario Kart World proper. Because Nintendo, in these figures, they're not counting any of the codes that were sold with the Nintendo Switch 2 digital copies. They're not counting physical copies. They're just counting copies of the game that were sold on the eShop, which there were probably very few copies of Mario Kart World sold on the eShop because most people bought the bundle. And anyone who didn't buy the bundle, that I at least read anecdotally, people were buying the physical copy with the console. So, yeah. But anyway, Deltarune was the best-selling digital game in June, which is pretty cool, beating out Mario Kart. So it's nice to see a queer game kind of, outselling Mario, which is pretty rare. So, All right, we have some bad news now. We have some layoffs here. So first off, Virtuos Games, they did the Oblivion remaster that released this year, and they have the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater remake coming up very soon. They are laying off 270 people, 200 roles in Asia, 70 roles in Europe. Quote, approximately 7% of Virtuos's global workforce was affected, primarily in teams facing lower occupancy and slower demand due to structural shifts in the industry.
That sucks. Just all around.
It is the biggest amount of layoffs, the biggest number of people that we're going to talk about today, but I don't know if proportionally, I'm not sure. The next company here, I feel like they have far fewer people. So the 36 people they're laying off is probably proportionally bigger to the company than the 270 people is. Like 7% of Virtuos Games, right? Because they're kind of a big company. Meanwhile, Supermassive Games, they did Until Dawn, The Quarry, the Dark Pictures anthology. The Quarry is a very queer, fruity game. So, but they have also begun, quote, a redundancy consultation process, end quote, and they expect to let go up to 36 of their staff in these layoffs. And with that too, their next Dark Pictures game, Directive 8020, has been delayed from this fall to the first half of 2026. And that's the first time one of these games has released outside the Halloween window. Yeah, do you know, have you played any of these Supermassive games?
I've played Until Dawn. I've played, I don't remember which one from the Dark Pictures. I like their games. And it really sucks to see them go through this. Yeah.
I'm a little mad at the... Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, please.
I was just a little mad at the, management that they let it get to this point and they have to let people go. Or, the very upper management. I'm sure the middle managers are not responsible for this. When I say management, I mean the people at the tippy top, the money people, the people who, sit with their golden parachutes when things get bad or, leave with their golden parachutes. For the Dark Pictures game you played, was it the boat one?
Oh, it may have been. It's been a while since I've thought about it. I think it was the boat one.
I couldn't stand it.
Really?
I thought it was awful.
Okay.
Yeah, at the time I had not played The Quarry, so I had only played Until Dawn, and Until Dawn is so good, and the Dark Pictures, that first game was just not. Did you like it?
I thought it was fine, comparatively to Until Dawn. I thought it was okay. I liked Until Dawn a lot more, but that one was not bad. I haven't played any of the other ones. Have you, or was that the one? Then you just haven't tried the other ones yet?
I picked up and did not have a chance to play last year. Can't remember why I didn't play anything. I didn't do much Halloween stuff last year. I can't remember why. I feel like that was when our heat started going out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a whole thing with living situations for the last couple of years. But anyway, no, I picked up the one with Ashley Tisdale in it, and I just never got around to it. It was like $15 Canadian. It was really cheap. And I was like, oh, I'll finally get to, and I heard really good things about this one. I was reading that people who didn't like Man of Medan, which is the boat one, liked the Ashley Tisdale one. I can't remember what it's called. House of Ashes, maybe?
Oh, is that? Oh, I'm going to just look them up. Forgive me. Let's just see.
While you're looking it up, though, I'll just say the Directive 8020 looks great. It's basically Alien, but their version of it. So I think that's super cool.
There is Man of Medan, Little Hope, House of Ashes, and The Devil in Me.
I don't think I've played I've picked up The Devil in Me. I think the one I picked up was House of Ashes.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of Little Hope, but I don't remember the other two. I may look into them. I like a good horror game, so.
Me too. And actually, just a quick recommendation is that Chronos: The New Dawn and Silent Hill F are coming out this fall, which are two, like, Silent Hill F obviously is Silent Hill, but Chronos: The New Dawn is from the people that made the Silent Hill 2 remake last year, Bloober Team. And it looks really good because it's this kind of game where you're like, it's a survival horror. But when you kill an enemy, if you don't burn it after, so another enemy will come along and merge with it, making like a bigger super enemy. And if you don't kill all of those and burn them, then like eventually by like a few hours into the game, you could have this big massive monster following you around. I think it's a super cool game mechanic.
That does sound pretty cool, but I'm always a little bit hesitant with Bloober Team, with some of their other releases having been not the greatest representations of like mental health struggles. And Silent Hill 2 is great. I'm not going to deny that that's amazing, but I'll probably try it. But
that's fair. I didn't know about that, actually. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And in another episode, I'd be like, oh, please elaborate, but we have to move on.
Another episode.
We're almost getting to the Silksong news. We have one piece of Xbox news here. Xbox news. And they have backtracked slightly on game price increases. So some good news. Back in May, Microsoft said games this holiday were going to be increased from $69.99 USD, which is $89.99 Canadian, to $79.99 USD, which is $99.99 Canadian. Although this price does vary between physical and digital after the conversion rate here. It seems studios are not, like game publishers are not kind of like on the same page about what $80 games, like convert to here. Outer Worlds 2 was going to be the first game to receive this increase, and now Microsoft has backtracked the price back down to the original 70 USD, 90 Canadian price. It's just for games releasing this holiday though. So it's not like a permanent backtrack. It's just a temporary backtrack. And anyone who pre-ordered at that price has been refunded for Outer Worlds 2. I don't know why they backtracked. Do you have any ideas as to why they might have backtracked? Any theories?
I can theorize that if you push the price too high, you are driving people away from... You're not converting people into purchasing. You're pushing people away, because seeing that price, like, I'm just going to go pirate it, and like after like a week after it comes out, because I'm not paying $100. I like, Outer Worlds, but I'm not going to pay $100. I have better things to spend my money on, more important things.
Yeah, I'm hoping a lot of gamers, I'm not going to condone piracy specifically here on this podcast where a lot of devs listen, but I will say that this is a good opportunity to vote with your wallet in the coming months. That if there's a game you want to play, obviously go buy it, go play it. No one will judge you for that. But, like, if there's a game that you're like, hey, I think this price increase is too high, like, don't, vote with your wallet, wait for a sale. Video game companies will figure out that you don't want to pay this much. And I get it. Like, games were $60 for 20 years and they suddenly went up in price really quickly. Maybe they should have been gradually increasing the price over time over the last 20 years instead of just having this sudden jump. And now we got complacent. We got used to the $60, 60 US dollars, and it was, $80 here. I mean, games here, like, as the dollar has like fluctuated here in Canada, I think our games used to be $60 is at the same time the US was, at least like 15 years ago. And then our dollar started to tank again. And then so games started going up from like 65 to 70 and then finally to 80 recently. All right. Silksong news. So Microsoft announced that their booth at Gamescom, a large gaming event in Germany, and actually I think Nintendo is doing this as well, will include a public demo. So if you go to Gamescom, you can play a public demo for Hollow Knight Silksong. Cleo looks like I'm full of shit, so.
Silksong isn't real. No one can convince me it's real. Nobody. I don't know who can. It's not real.
Well, if you are going to Gamescom and you are going to play Silksong, make sure to bring your full face of clown makeup with you.
Unfortunately, I don't have the money to afford a ticket to Germany right now. So until there's a proof, it's not real.
I wonder how many people are buying tickets to go to Germany right now because of the Silksong demo being there.
Probably at least a handful.
Well, I think I also read that there's a leak about when, I won't say it on the podcast because it's not confirmed yet, but there was a leak from Billy Coon. I think that's their name. They leak like deals and release date announcements. Nothing huge, just like, anyway, they leaked that the Xbox ROG Ally, or whatever it's called, that famously had Silk Song as like will be playable on this system at launch. It's coming October 16th, I want to say. It was because it's the same day Pokemon is coming out, and so everyone's like, "Oh, I guess Silk Song is going to be out just before that then." And I'm thinking like, probably, I feel like it's going to get delayed again. But the fact that there's a public demo makes me hopeful that they're going to like.
Maybe this is the time where they, it comes out like, you know what? Here's the demo. Here's a release date. I doubt it. I truly do not believe in my heart that they are going to announce a release date for this game at this point.
Well, we'll see. Maybe there'll be not an entire episode. I have not played Hollow Knight. I do not know enough about Hollow Knight to talk about it for an entire episode, but maybe there will be a news story shortly where we can actually talk about that and, the big Silk Song reveal. Okay, super quick, because we have to get to the payment processor update, which is kind of a big thing. Sony is suing Tencent over Horizon ripoff. Normally I would not report on things like this, but Tencent has copied a moderately queer game here, Horizon Zero Dawn. So our sexuality ambiguous hero Aloy has been ripped off by Tencent, the media conglomerate, and Sony is suing them. From IGN, quote, the complaint, which was filed in California, in a California court last week, alleges Tencent's upcoming adventure game, Light of Moderam, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is illegally similar, and that's a very strong word, illegally similar to Horizon Forbidden West and Horizon Zero Dawn, and everything from creature design to protagonist to marketing materials. The complaint outlines numerous similarities, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole bunch more to the quote. I have a couple images pulled up here, and if you go to the IGN article linked down in the show notes, you can see the comparison as well. There's some images, but specifically it's the key art of Horizon Zero Dawn versus Light of Moderam, and it basically looks exactly the same. Mm-hmm. Like a little bit different, but like there's robot dinosaurs, there's a hero standing under a tree, she's a woman. I think the only difference of this game is probably that she will not be in queer in any way in this rip-off version.
More than likely, I think that would be the case.
All right, payment processor update. So back in episode 43, we talked about how some not safe for work games were removed off of Steam. So first off, a quick quote here. Nier creator Yoko Taro, had this to say on, I think, Blue Sky, but it might have been Twitter. Publishing and similar fields have always faced regulations that go beyond the law, but the fact that a payment processor, which is involved in the entire infrastructure of content distribution, can do such things at its own discretion seems to me to be dangerous on a whole new level. It implies that by controlling payment processing companies, you can even censor another country's free speech. Very powerful words. I sound like a newscaster being like, very powerful words here. Yes, very powerful. But he's right.
He is. There was nothing wrong with that statement. It's completely true.
Yeah, because these games aren't just censored in the US. It's not like the US has no access to these games, but Canada, for example, where we are, we can no, they're gone for everyone. Mm-hmm. So, just taking a drink of water here. So, itch.io also removed all not safe for work /adult games from sale in the last couple of weeks and prevented people from downloading already purchased not safe for work games. So not only if you'd purchased not safe for work games, not only were they, can you not purchase more of them, but now you can't even download the ones you've already bought. So if you don't have them downloaded already, guess what? You're out of luck. itch.io later announced they were looking for new payment processors so they could relist all the explicit games. So this comes from itch.io's website, and they wrote, I'm just going to read this and then we can kind of talk about this a bit, because this is kind of the big thing here. Why was itch.io's response greater than Steam's? Because Steam famously only removed a handful of games, right? But itch.io removed like everything that was tagged explicit, right? So, and they wrote the difference, and then I quote here, the difference in our responses stems from the difference in our platforms. Steam is a closed platform where every product page is approved before it appears on the store. Because they were generally aware of the content they host, they could identify and act on specific pages. itch.io is an open UGC user-generated content platform. With over 2 million product pages, anyone can publish content at any time with minimal barriers. We could not rely on user-provided tagging to be accurate enough for a targeted approach, so a broader review was necessary to be thorough. Additionally, itch.io is a small company, both in team size and in transaction volume, compared to a company like Steam. We have limited ability to push back. If we lose our ability to accept payments from a partner like PayPal or Stripe, we impact the ability of all creators to do business. Losing PayPal, for instance, would prevent us from sending out payments to many people. Our actions were taken to protect our payment processing abilities for as much of the platform as possible. So basically the needs of the greater outweigh the needs of the few, or the one, to quote Spock, I think. So anyway, Cleo, what are your thoughts?
It's...
I guess without being... I don't want to, like, dig in too much, because, like, if someone has downloaded not safe for work games and they want to be private about it, like, that's totally cool. Like, I won't judge. But have you had any games affected by... Like, do you have an HIO account, and have you had any games affected by this?
I do, and I've had at least a couple just be gone. Like, after this came out, and I saw that, they just went scorched earth and removed everything. I just had to check for my own sanity. Yeah, it sucks. I spent some money on those games. And then, unrelated to this, Good Old Games did like a 2-day thing where here's 13 adult games for free.
Yep, they did. That's true. Yeah. I didn't link that in the show notes here, but I
thought I would mention it. But yeah, I've had that happen.
You're good. I just thought it might not be in the show notes for anyone looking for where are these free games, and I don't think they're not available anymore.
They're not. It was 2 days, and there was like a special code that you put into the website. But
I remember looking at the list of games and thinking, like, I don't know if I'm going to play any of those, so I didn't claim them, but I'm happy for anyone who did. So I don't judge what you play. Just be a good person. Yeah. So I recently downloaded Sorry, go ahead. No, please. You're my guest.
I was just going to comment. Going scorched earth with such a broad variety of content was probably the right move, as much as it sucks. Deleting the content from purchasers' accounts, I think that might have been an overreach, because hey, I've paid for that, I should be able to get it. What's going on? Like, Steam removing games, but you can still download them, like, that's great, I paid for that, that's my content, amazing. But just to have it just be gone, like, oh no, I paid for this, where is my game?
Do you think it's an infrastructure thing? I don't know anything about code, but do you think, like, to turn off the games, like, to take the games down, do you think, like, it's all connected? So, like, if you take the game down from public view, it also takes it off the ability to re-download it? Like, do you think it's like a one-size-fits-all button for that, maybe?
I'm curious about that, because I genuinely don't know. Because I think... I genuinely can't say. Maybe it is an infrastructure thing, but without knowing what their backend looks like, I genuinely can't say.
Well, we do know they went scorched earth, but however, they did replant some, to go with the metaphor, they did replant some stuff on that scorched earth. So itch.io further followed up by relisting all the free games with so-called problematic tags, but paid games are still waiting for another solution and will remain hidden for the time being. So it's something, at least, that they feel comfortable relisting the free games. I have to imagine, though, these payment processors, if they're not happy about the content existing at all, I feel like they would eventually just tell them to take everything else down too, right? Like, they're not going to stop at just like it's not like it's going to be like a straight line that's like very clear that they cross. Like, I think they're just going to keep pushing that line further and further back.
Pretty much. They're going to keep pushing until something gives, and then it's just going to be a cascade from there. It starts with these and then spreads out. Yeah.
Sorry, and I just wanted to say, too, that what I've been seeing is that when we first reported on this, when we first recorded our discussion, it was still kind of like people were waking up to what was going on with this. Like, it was still kind of fresh. It was just a handful of games. It was only one platform. A lot of people hadn't heard about it. I think the news article we cited in that episode was the only news article that was reporting on it that wasn't like a Reddit post or like a Blue Sky tweet, for example. And I'm aware that Blue Sky's not tweeting, but I'm still going to call it that. I don't care. But at the time, like, it wasn't widespread, like, not widespread in terms of like what was happening, but in terms of people knowing about it. But in the weeks since we talked about it, it's been 3 weeks. People are up in arms about it. And like, it's because it's not safe for work content. It's people like getting in the way of people's porn is pissing them off. And like, as much as I'm like, I have mixed feelings on porn, not judgmental feelings, but just like, anyway, it's not, no, I'm not going to get into it. I don't judge you if you watch or listen to, like, if you consume porn, that's not the problem here. But like, some porn is problematic in the way it treats people, both its viewers and its the sex workers that participate on screen. And so some of the people that do consume porn and consume this specific porn that's made for them, that might be a little, I'm going to stop talking there, actually. But the point is that, like, it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend in this case. Like, I don't want to, like, I don't want to stop them because they're wound up in the right direction right now. Even though, like, and again, like, the thing I do think too when I talk about porn a lot too is the fact that, like, the way trans people are viewed because of porn has caused a lot of problems in society. And some of these people that are like, that maybe, again, this might be anecdotal, this might be a little judgmental, but some of the people that might view trans people with, in lesser regard might be some of these people that are actually right now rallying to save these not safe for work games. And if they manage to save them, that's good, because guess what? That's going to also save a lot of queer games, because I do still think that queer games are next on the chopping block.
100%. Even some horror games having been removed just for their content and what their kind of, what their messaging is about, being taken down and removed because of it. It doesn't just affect adult games in that way. It starts there, and then, oh, your game is, it's not about this, but oh, it's about this band topic, but like not really. It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I downloaded a not safe for work game recently, which I almost never do. Like, I don't really download those kinds of games, like kind of porn, I guess. It's all art. Like, it's not real people. Like, it's like a visual novel. And so I would be really disappointed. And I downloaded it on Steam. And if I considered between itch and Steam, right, which platform I wanted it on. But I decided that I wanted to keep the game in the Steam ecosystem for just like the ease of access, right? Just like, this was before all this happened. I was just like, oh, if it's on Steam, I know I have access to it whenever I want. I can watch, like, play it on my Steam Deck, right? So when I download, like, I almost thought about getting on itch though, because I knew more money was going to go to the creators. But I was like, you know what? No, I think the benefit of having it on Steam is better. And so, but if I downloaded it there and I lost the file because the file's not tied to an account anymore, I wouldn't be able to download it right now because it's gone. So I'm glad I did go with Steam. But for how much longer is Steam going to let people access that stuff?
Who can say? Truly, at this moment in time, who knows?
Well, I also thought by now we'd see Nintendo, Xbox, or Sony cave to the payment processors, but so far nothing like that has happened. I'm not sure how much not safe for work stuff Xbox actually has, but I know Nintendo and PlayStation have a fair amount of stuff on their platforms that's not safe for work. So I honestly thought one of them now would have bowed to pressure. Yeah,
especially with just how much they let through the filter every time I booting up even just my normal regular Switch. It's like, oh, why? I don't need to see that. What do you mean this snuck through? Who approved this? This wouldn't have the Nintendo seal of approval on it. It is the Wild West in terms of what is actually on each of those platforms. And I don't even own a PS5 anymore to look at this, but I know it's a hot mess of things that probably shouldn't be up there for purchase.
That's fair. Even whether we feel they should or should not be there, I'm glad they are available, because that means the freedom of capitalism, at least, the freedom of speech. I have my issues with certain pieces of content, but I also don't think censorship is the answer to them. I think speaking out against them and explaining why they are problematic is much more important and valuable than just like deleting them and wiping them from existence and giving people no access to them. So we are in an age of digital book burning, as we talked about in episode 43. So we've kind of hit all the points we talked about last week, but we've updated, and I'm sure there'll be more to talk about next week. This is a story we're going to come back to. I'm going to try to carve out 10-15 minutes every episode when there is news to kind of talk to people about it and update people. Also, as I have different guests on, I'll be able to talk and get different opinions and feedback. It just worked out that Cleo, you were on again this week, but next week I have different guests on, and I'm excited to hear what they think. So listeners, buckle in, because until this is resolved, we're going to be talking about it at least a little bit. It will be flagged in the show notes though, so if you don't want to hear it or it stresses you out or whatever, feel free to skip past it. Obviously, I'm of the opinion that burying your head in the sand, and I say that in a nice way, not like a mean way, but like sometimes ignoring a problem makes me feel better about things. If I pretend it's not there, I can deal with it. So I get that totally. Like, there's problems I ignore in my life. Like, every time Trump says something, I don't read it. I just don't, because I can't anymore, so I get it too. If you don't want to hear about this problem, because it's affecting our hobbies now. And I think it's affecting what we use to bury our head in the sands with, and that pisses me off to no fucking end.
It's a hot mess. It is. Oh man, I can't. Sometimes it's just, there's no mental capacity for it.
Well, since there is no mental capacity left for us on this one, we are going to take a short break, and after this musical interlude, we'll be back to talk about Soulslikes. Welcome back, True Avatars, and we are going to talk about Soulslikes. So, Cleo, I have been speaking a lot this episode. I apologize for that. I was really desperate to kind of get through all the news that we had, and it took us about an hour to do that, so, which is about what I expected. But now, it's all Soulslike, it's all Soulslikes, it's all you, actually. So, I wanted to ask you, super quick, for the listeners who maybe don't know about Soulslikes, or maybe they do, but they're not sure, or just in general, like, just good housekeeping. What is a Soulslike?
A Soulslike is a very difficult subset of action RPGs or action adventure games based around the Souls games. So Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all those styles of games from software. Those are colloquially called Soulslikes when made by other companies. So they have very intense combat, high difficulty, bonfire style checkpoints. The lore is obtuse and complex, or with really an emphasis on more of the environmental storytelling, where you can explore and you see, oh, this is what happened here because there's a skeleton on the ground with monsters around it. Oh, we know someone fought here, died valiantly in front of a door, stuff like that. So it's generally in a darker fantasy setting. You do see what are they called? I think they're called the Surge games, where it's more science fiction, stuff like that, or Lies of P, which is more steampunk Victorian. But those are generally what Soulslikes are, or Souls games. Then generally that kind of action RPG, very difficult type of game.
So for someone who knows a little bit about Soulslikes, but has never really played them, what is a bonfire style checkpoint?
It is in the world, in Demon Souls and Dark Souls, bonfires, usually with a sword sticking out of the top. You go, you light it, and you can rest. You refill your health, your healing items, generally like a little potion or an Estus flask. And generally, it gives you a chance to recoup. It resets the world, so all of the enemies come back, but it is a way to like mark your progress along a route. Like, oh, I have progressed to the second bonfire. In some games, I think most of them, you can teleport between them using an item, but it's generally a checkpoint, which whenever you die, you respawn back at it and get to run the gauntlet again.
Okay, that's interesting. I was like, do you mean literally a bonfire? It sounds like you meant literally. Like, that was why I kind of asked. I was like, what is a bonfire style? That's so cool. Okay, so a lot of other games actually have used that. I played Dungeons of Dreadrock, which is like a Zelda-like a bunch of mini puzzles, and they also have like sections where you sit by the fire and you like recover your strength and stuff like that. So I didn't realize that concept came from Souls games, which is super cool.
I'm sure it's been used in other games in a similar fashion, like using the fire as a place to rest, but generally in a Souls, like the bonfire is like, this is your spot to rest. This is where you'll come back when you die to do your run again.
So I guess like when you die, and then you arrive back at the bonfire, you're like, oh shit, I was like almost at the next bonfire. I wish, and then you got to like make the whole trek again.
Basically, some of them are real jerks about it. In certain areas, where it's like, oh, I've cleared out all of the enemies. I am at the boss. I have no healing. Oh, shit. Or you get to the boss, you get it down to that sliver of HP, and then you get smacked because you missed time to dodge. And then like, I gotta do that again. I gotta fight all this. Okay. And it is tough, but it's fun.
So, what kind of Soulslikes? So you mentioned Demon Souls, you mentioned Dark Souls, which is a trilogy of games. There's 3 of those. Demon Souls also has a remake. I'm going to specifically go through all the From Software ones here. There's Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, there's Bloodborne, there's Elden Ring, there's the Duskbloods, and there's also Elden Ring Nightreign. There are a couple of those I mentioned we're going to talk about specifically later, but I'm curious, like, which ones did you start playing? Like, what got you into them?
I originally started playing with Demon Souls on the PS3. I didn't like it at the time. It felt very strange, and it was completely different to what else I was playing at the time. But kind of getting more experience in other types of games, I've come to really appreciate it. I played through the remake on PS5 when that came out at launch or close to it. I believe, was it PS5 or PS4? Now I don't remember.
It was PS5. You're right.
PS5.
Yeah.
I think it's on my shelf somewhere, but I did play through it and had a blast, kind of understanding what the game was with hindsight. I've played through Dark Souls. I'll fully admit I didn't beat Dark Souls 1. I bounced off of it really hard for some reason. I don't remember why. I beat Dark Souls 2, which is
It's probably because
nobody's favorite. Probably.
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
I beat Dark Souls 2, which is nobody's favorite. I enjoyed it for some wild reason. So I played Dark Souls 2. I enjoyed it, which seems just off kilter to think about. I played Dark Souls 3. I didn't play the DLC for 3. I've played through most of Sekiro. I've played through a handful of Bloodborne. I bounced off of it really hard and again, I think it's just the way the combat worked for me. It was a lot more aggressive. It rewards you for attacking more. Like as you get hit, you can regenerate your health by attacking. I do believe that's how it works.
I think if you haven't played, like you didn't like Bloodborne, so I have to go back to this because not only do you lose your gamer card for that, but I think you lose your trans card as well.
We don't gotta talk about that, like
this is the whole segment now. I don't know how to tell you this.
What have I done? I said that once in a chat, and now I'm. Can you? Now
you're the person who never finished Blood. I mean, I've never played it at all, but I like for me, it's different because I don't play Soulsbornes at all. But you play them, and you don't like the one that everyone doesn't shut the fuck up about.
Listen, I have a problem, and I don't know how to. I get it. I'll turn in my cards. I will. I will
have them
go
back when you finish Bloodborne. It's okay. I'll take them from
okay, great. When they release the remake in 2035 or whatever it comes out, I'll play it.
Really soon, actually. That's only 10 years away. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Right? Secret news. It's coming out in 2035. Gamers, get ready. Oh, It's never coming. I'm never gonna get it back. Elden Ring, I think I've sunk 300 hours in, including the DLC. Duskbloods, I'm really excited for. And I've also played a bunch of other ones. Lies of P, Fly Night, which I just beat yesterday. I played a whole bunch of them. It's Code Rain, an anime one. I've played a little bit of the Surge. I've played a whole handful, not including the Rain ones.
So I want to go back to, you said you played Demon's Souls at launch in 2009 and you didn't like it. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm curious because I've never really talked to anyone who's played these games. Because it was when you played it, you probably had no idea that this was going to be a new genre, right? So what was it like at launch playing this brand new thing? Obviously you didn't like it, but can you just talk a little bit more about what that experience was like? And maybe through the years, what you realized, you were wrong at the time, I guess.
At the time, it was so new and so.
And sorry, when I say you were wrong, I don't mean I was wrong. You're wrong for not liking the game. You realized in your oh, I was wrong. I actually liked this game, is what I mean.
Yeah. Sorry. The difficulty was my barrier at the time. I was still not very old. I didn't have as much experience playing games like that. My focus was elsewhere, mostly with first-person shooters and racing games at the time. Even I think I was still playing a bunch of Rock Band with friends at that time. Dark Souls and Demon's Souls specifically was such a wild shift in tone that it just didn't work for me at the time. I didn't understand how the hub system worked, or what does any of this mean? What do you mean I don't have a full health bar? This is ridiculous. This is no, thank you. And I bounced off of it really hard, even after beating the first area of it at the time, and just couldn't go back to it. I would try and be I can't get into the mood for this. This is too much. I need to play anything else. I don't have time. I don't have the brain space to put on this game.
So at what point then in the next, because it was about 11 years later that they did the remake, which is actually really soon for a remake. But at what point in that 11 years did you realize oh, I was playing peak and I didn't know it then? And your opinion maybe changed on it.
My opinion changed when I kind of just got more patient with the games and kind of became more thoughtful and gave them more room to breathe in my mind. I'm I'm going to interact with this more. I'll give it more time. Maybe it'll grow on me. And it was Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 where I was it's clicked. I get it. This is great. This is what is nobody else playing this. This is amazing. But I think at that point, everyone else kind of knew, and I was slow on the uptake.
So you played Dark Souls despite not liking Demon Souls. So what compelled you to play, after not liking Demon Souls and bouncing off it, what compelled you to play Dark Souls?
It was a shot in the dark. A friend lent me the disc once and said, you have to play this. They said, we know you don't like it, but you gotta play it. You just gotta. and I said,
you bounced
sure.
off that one as well, right?
Dark Souls, a bit. I played it, but then I think I got distracted with something else at the time. It's been so long since I've thought about it. And I gave it back to him and said, I'll borrow it again later. I own it on Steam now, so there's no reason why I haven't played it. But I don't remember exactly why I bounced off of it, and it's bothering me. Might have been one of the bosses that just I couldn't wrap my head around, or something similar.
It's just very interesting because when I bounce off a game in a genre, like a specific genre of games, like if I played it twice, like for me, I don't care if third time might be the charm. Like I wouldn't go play that third game. But you powered through, like you played Demon Souls, didn't like it. You played Dark Souls, didn't like it. But then you finally, then you still played Dark Souls 2. And I think that's very, very interesting that you still went and tried a third game in that like genre, despite not liking the first two. And then you loved it.
Yeah. Which is, it's something that it baffles me every time. It's like, why did I love Dark Souls 2 so much when I didn't like Demon Souls? This doesn't make any sense. And something about the world and the combat and how ridiculous it was kind of stuck with me. Because enemy placements in that game it's genuinely mind-boggling how they place the enemies in Dark Souls 2. Where it's like, you're going up a big staircase. Here's 2 big enemies, and then two of the same enemy up there, and then here's at the top, there's 3. Like, why would you do that? There's generally a sense of progression where it's like, okay, we're gonna introduce you to okay, we'll give you more, and then it is I think the least liked Dark Souls game for good reason. It's not a great game, but I love it for some reason. It just stuck with me. Like, yeah, this game's great. What do you mean? Like, okay, I can see where it's bad, but I love it.
That's me with Super Mario Sunshine. I know it's the ugly stepchild of the series, but I don't even know if that's the right expression, but I love Super Mario Sunshine. I don't care that I know it's bad, but I don't care. Like, it was my first Mario game that I ever beat. Like, it's got a special place in my heart. So like, I totally get that for you for Dark Souls 2. My question for you now, knowing that Dark Souls 2 is your favorite, despite it being like, quote unquote, the worst one, for example, is if they remade it today, or remastered it, like they announced, like, hey, we're doing a big Dark Souls 2 remaster, collector's edition, whatever. Are you playing it?
100%. 100%. Something about that just clicks with me. Majula as a hub world is amazing. It's so serene. The idea that you can use items to make areas more, like, basically, whenever you complete a run, you can start again, but everything's harder. New Game Plus. You can use these items called bonfire ascetics, take them to certain areas, or like to bonfires, like, I want to make this zone harder, nowhere else. So you can be in the second zone of the game, and be like, you know what? This is too easy. Make it New Game Plus. But just for that one zone, and make it condensed. So there are mechanics in it that I like, and it just feels fun. I'm pretty sure that was Dark Souls 2. Now I'm doubting myself, but I'm pretty sure Majula, Dark Souls 2. Yes. Yeah. I had to, my brain failed me. I'm sorry. Look,
it's Friday night. It's the end of a week. We're all exhausted. But we record when we can. So that's why we torture ourselves.
But yes, Majula is a very nice hub area with the different areas you can go to. It's just nice. It's just nice.
Well, so I've noticed a fair amount of like queer people really like Soulslikes. And so I guess I'm kind of curious what your take is on this, because I don't know enough to even speculate. But like, what do you think about these games resonates so much with queer people? Like, what about these games resonates with you, like, specifically too?
Let me just grab it real quick. And spill it all over myself, because I can't drink like a normal person.
I'm not going to make the dad joke.
I know you want to. I can tell you want to.
No, I'm not going to do it. It's inappropriate. No, just keep going. People know what the joke is already anyway, so it's fine.
Okay. I think what really attracts people, at least for me, it is the games are fair. Like, us as trans people, we're playing on hard mode in real life.
We are. Yeah.
It hurts to say that, but it is true in a gaming sense.
We're the Bloodborne people.
Well, not me. I have to return my game. I have to return my card.
That's true. You're not trans anymore until you finish Bloodborne.
Oh man. I'll get right on that. But I lost my point completely.
Sorry, that's my bad. I completely distracted you. Why do we're playing on hard mode? We're playing on hard mode.
But then get myself back into it. We're playing on hard mode, but these games are inherently fair. You always have a tool to beat something, to combat an enemy, to solve the problem. Even if you don't, you can leave, level up somewhere else, boost your skills, respec, and then come back to it later. Or in the case of Dark Souls 2, more literally, you can just find a coffin hidden behind two, I think they're ogres, and just change your gender.
That's
you can
true.
do it once for free. You can do it once. But that's something you can do. Not that it's relevant, but I thought that was fun to mention. But these games are consistent. They are fair. In certain cases, I think in all of them, the world itself, I think is at least what draws me in. Like, these worlds are dying. You're the spark that can change it. And you are changing yourself as you go along. You start as a knight, but you can be, by the end of it, you could be a mage. You could continue to be a knight. You could be a giant a great sword wielding monstrosity of a boss killer. I think it really depends on who's playing and what you want to get out of it. Trying to think. I think I started with 1 point and ended elsewhere.
Well, we were kind of just talking about the generalities of like why queer people might gravitate towards these games. I think it's really interesting that, like, because you mentioned environmental storytelling earlier, which is something I actually really like in any kind of media. I like it when they're like the pieces are kind of like, they're kind of spread out and they're put there. It's why actually I like the movie Prometheus, because the things that make that movie great are the environmental little details that you're not focusing on when you watch that movie the first time. It's the second time, the third time, the fourth time when you're watching, you're like, oh, on the mural there's this symbol, and in Alien there's this symbol as well, and there's kind of, so like environmental things are like, oh, well, why were they going to kill humans in that movie? And like, oh, well, it was how many years ago? Oh, okay, so that's the reason why, what was happening on Earth that many years ago. Oh, well, that must be so there's like details in there that they never ever explicitly explain. Like, yes, all the characters make like wildly unbelievable decision making. And so anyway, that is to say, like, as a person, I don't know if it's because I'm queer, but I really enjoy environmental storytelling. And now I'm questioning, like, is environmental storytelling something that speaks to us generally? Because the Wachowski sisters also famously were big on environmental storytelling and like just these big worlds with lots to discover, especially with The Matrix being this first, like, and this is not a pun or anything. It was the first transmedia story that was like called that, like it invented the term, right? So like all these different stories that take place in the same world. It was like, okay, we can't just make one movie. We're going to make a trilogy. We're going to make the spin-off. We're going to make games. We're going to write books. We're going to do okay. Anyway, so that feels to me very similar, where you just kind of want to suck up everything about a world and just like it draws you in. And I think that is something that, like, I don't know if it's queer and if like cis het people feel this way too, but like it is something I definitely notice in terms of queer people and the way we consume media. And maybe that's why, again, I don't know why we do it that way or if it's specific to us, but I'm wondering, to get off my soapbox now, to thank you for coming to my TED Talk, maybe that's like what speaks to a lot of queer people about like why Bloodborne, for example, speaks to queer people and other Soulslikes.
I think that definitely plays a part in it. Like being able to absorb the world, see everything there is to it, and get a bigger understanding of it, like we do with ourselves as we go through, our transitions. As we start in one spot, we learn more about ourselves and who we are. I think there is a tie you can make to that in terms of like, oh yeah, no, we're going through this part of the world. We're going to find out, why are there ghosts here? Why are there ghosts? Why can there, what do you mean there are ghosts? What's going on? Or, just trying to, like I said, absorb everything you can about this part of this section of the world that we're in and that we live in. I think that's definitely a part of it. I think for me, it's really, I can be a stubborn jerk, and I like to bash my head against things, and I do that in these games, fully admitting I like to just bash my head against the problem and puzzle it out and be like, okay, no, this isn't working. Let's do something else. Let's find a way to solve this puzzle with another style or with something else. Just bash my head against it until we get through. While also enjoying the environmental parts of it. But I think, like you said, the environmental part is a big draw to it. With Bloodborne specifically and what its themes are, I can fully understand why that would draw people to it.
Yeah, I would actually, if these games could be easier, I definitely would play them because I love that. Like, I think the environmental storytelling is the only reason I would play them, but I can't get everyone. And when I bought my PS4 10 years ago, it was my first time ever buying my own PlayStation console. I'd had my brothers to play on and my friends to play on in the past, like PS2, PS3, but the Wii U was a dud. And I was like, I'm going to sell my Wii U and buy a PS4 because Spider-Man is coming out and I really want to play Spider-Man, but Spider-Man wasn't coming out. Like, Spider-Man was a couple years away, but I was like, okay, I want to have the console. I want to get used to it. I don't want to be fighting for consoles when the game comes out. Like, I'd like to be ready. And also, there's some games I want to play. And then so I posted on Facebook, and a bunch of people that I didn't really, friends that I talked to, but not like regularly, came out of the woodwork to say, like, Bloodborne, you got to play Bloodborne. And I was like, I looked up Bloodborne, and I'm like, no, I'm not playing Bloodborne. It's too hard. I didn't know what Soulslikes were at the time. I was so out of the gaming loop at that time. Like, I knew about Nintendo, and that was it. And then I was like learning like about The Last of Us. I was learning about Uncharted. I was learning about Soulslikes. I was learning about all kinds of games that I'm now falling in love with. And the only ones I learned about that I never fell in love with because I never tried them were well, specifically was Bloodborne.
I think it's worth trying. I think it is something, as much as it's not my favorite game, I think I'm coming back to it with an appreciation of these games. Now that I've played a whole bunch of them, I think I could probably get through it a bit easier, understanding what it's actually trying to go for with its combat and the world and the story it's telling. I think it's maybe not the best one to jump into as a first one, but it is a good game. I would maybe try, like, completely deviating. I would try Elden Ring, truthfully. Like, there is a decent tutorial, but the world is sprawling enough where you can kind of, it gives you room to mess around and figure out what you want to do with the game, while still providing a decent challenge. If you were at all interested in playing it or getting into these games, I think Elden Ring might be a good jumping off point.
I actually got a code for Elden Ring with my Xbox Series S. It was around that time, right before prices started going up, and they were really trying to move Xbox Series S's specifically. And I was like, well, it's like a Game Pass machine. You know, there's a few games that are exclusive that I'd like to play. This was before, again, Xbox exclusives were still a thing, or when they were still a thing. And so, when they were doing it, they discounted the system. I think I used points for whatever store I bought them from, bought the system from. And then it also was like, and it will come with a code for a game of your choosing. And none of the games on the list really spoke to me except Elden Ring. But I was like, I'm probably still not going to play Elden Ring, even if I wanted to. Like, I don't have the time for this, but to be honest, truthfully, I didn't want to. And so I gave the code to my cousin. I don't know if he actually ended up playing it, but I gave the code away. Maybe on Switch too. Maybe it's the time for the backlog if it runs well. Maybe I'll play it there because having stuff handheld is nice. Although, to be honest, that feels like the kind of game that's like big and like I really want good performance out of it that I might just want to play it on PS5. But
potentially, like, I mean, I played it on PC and at times the performance was atrocious, and that's an issue I'm having with Nightreign even now. But if it runs even decently, it's probably worth trying at least a little bit.
Well, super quickly, I'll just say that I've heard also about Elden Ring specifically is that the classes you pick can kind of like gauge what difficulty you want to play the game at. Like, I think if you become a magic user, the game is significantly easier than if you like use a sword, for example. But you brought up Nightreign, which is a really good segue because I do want to talk about Nightreign because I actually wanted to talk about it a few months ago when it came out, but I didn't have anyone on to talk about it, and I don't play Souls games, so I kind of skipped past it, but I'm curious, like, tell me about Nightreign. What's it like? It
is if you condensed Elden Ring into 20 minutes and that was the game. It gives you spawn into a hub, you pick a character, you don't pick a class, you're not building a character, you're not going into a character creator, you're not assigning stats, you are playing one of these set characters, be it, I think, Guardian, the Revenant, the Revenant you unlock. There's a few different character classes you can pick, and that is your character with certain abilities and ultimate, and you are dropped into a 3-player co-op. Oh my god, why is it not coming to me now? Oh my goodness, I'm terrible. I have to return my gamer card. It becomes an extraction game. That's the one I'm thinking of. It takes place over 3 days. Each day is maybe 5 to 8 minutes of you literally flying on, clinging to one like an eagle. You drop on a camp, and you are set to. You're released. Just like go. And that is the start of it. You fight enemies from Elden Ring. You fight bosses. You clear camps, castles to get loot. You know, a more traditional loot system of like blue, purple, determining rarity. You fight bosses to get upgrades. So like health upgrades, mana upgrades, even just straight up power upgrades. Like if you're at X% health, you get damage bonus, all to fight a boss at the end. So over the course of 3 days, each day ending in a boss fight, you make your way towards a boss at the end, which is either an Elden Ring boss, or I believe they've brought back like Dark Souls bosses as well. I think the Gaping Maw is one, which is always fun to see. But you are building a character tailored to fight these bosses, and when you beat the boss, you do a run. You either win or you lose. If you die, if you're playing solo, if you die, I haven't done a solo run, so I think if you can respawn 3 times, I think. But when you're playing with other players, you have a respawn timer. They have to attack you to pick you up, which is dangerous just because of the enemies coming at you. But it condenses Elden Ring to like a 20-minute run-based experience. It's fine. It's fine.
So that 20-minute timer, is it like a specific timer you're seeing on screen? Like, do you have like, or once you're like, obviously you said the day-night cycle is like, the days are like 5 to 8 minutes. Like that'll make sense to me. But like when you get to the boss, do you have an unlimited amount of time to beat the boss, or are you on a timer for the boss as well?
I don't believe there's a timer for the boss, but over the course of the day, it shrinks down, like the arena shrinks down like a circle, like gravitates to one area of the map, and you have to make your way there. Along the way, you pick up Estus flasks to give you more healing potential. You level up at a bonfire as you run by them because you have to be fast. There is not a lot of time to be slow in Nightreign.
It sounds like all the things that I don't like about Bloodborne are now like time sensitive.
It is it's similar, but also a completely different experience. And it's not one I expect. I enjoy it, but it's definitely not my game. I like playing it with friends who know how to play, and they're like barking out orders left and right. Like, okay, we're going here, we're going here, we're going here. This is our path. We got to do this. You don't fight this guy. We're going to come back to it later. Oh, this guy's too strong. We're going to leave and come back. Don't worry about it. Because over the course of these few days, the night ends when you kill the boss, and then you start again in day 2 from where you are. And the world state is the same. So stuff you've cleared is still cleared, but it's a little bit harder. It is a lot to take in. I still kind of don't know what I'm doing after like 25-ish hours.
Is it free to play?
No, it does have a cost. My friend bought it for me, but I think it's, do I have Steam open? $50?
I mean, we don't have to talk about the price, but
pretty sure it's like $50. Might be a little bit less.
Is there like a lot of are there gotcha mechanics? Is it like there's skins to buy?
There are skins to buy, but they are all earnable in game. I don't believe there's any DLC right now, other than I don't think there's actually DLC at all. But I do know there are skins that you can purchase in game. Like when you complete runs, you win or lose, you get currency to spend either on upgrade items, skins, stuff like that.
Can you buy the currency with real money?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good, actually, then. So that's, at least if you're paying for the $50 experience, it's like OG Rocket League is the game I gravitate to, because that's the game I played, is like, at a certain time, it was a multiplayer game, but you bought it once and that was it, like, whatever. And then, as time went on, they started adding more things to buy. I'm sure eventually they're going to monetize it, but the fact that it has no monetization is very interesting to me, because I feel like there's a Souls game that can be monetized. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta... So there is one thing, you could buy like a deluxe upgrade pack, but I don't think that gives you much of anything. I think it just gives you some skins. Let's see. Yeah, it gives you a soundtrack. Sorry. additional Nightfarers and bosses. So not a whole lot. It doesn't seem like that's a whole lot, but I don't know what it actually includes to know for sure.
So let's change gears a little bit from Nightreign, because we're coming up on time, unfortunately. I was hoping this segment could be a little bit longer, and it will be, but just not as long as, again, if we hadn't talked about the payment processor stuff, I feel like the segment would have been a little bit longer. But now that we have you on, I think we'll check in on Souls games. Every once in a while too. So this won't be the end of this won't be the one Souls-like episode that we do, when there's another game coming out. We'll talk about it, but the next big one that we know about from Software is what I mean to say, it's called the Duskbloods, and it is a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive game. When people first saw the footage, they thought, oh, this looks like Bloodborne 2, and it's Bloodborne 2 with extra steps because it's also multiplayer, right? Is it co-op or is it player versus player? Like, what is it?
I think it's both. I think it has both, and I don't know how to feel about that. It's hard for me to know because I'm not sure by the time this comes out, I'll have a Switch 2. I hope so, because I would love to play it, but I don't know. With Nightreign now kind of out and here, I want to know more about is PvP segregated, or is it like a normal Souls like where PvP can just happen? I'm invading your world. Surprise! Let's fight. It makes me wonder what exactly it's going to be.
I think it's really interesting that they chose to do back-to-back multiplayer games for Souls games, when these are like, Souls games are traditionally very single player, very like, in your own world, your own headspace. These are single player experiences. And so they did Nightreign this year, which is definitely like its own choice. And now the next game, it was just Switch 2 exclusive, which is kind of a big deal. You'd think the next big, like, Switch 2, like a Nintendo backed From Software game, the first time ever. And it's a multiplayer game. And I'm curious, I'm like, what do you think they're thinking with that?
Well, I think without knowing for sure, I think it's similar to the Bayonetta situation where they're bankrolling it, more than likely. It's like, hey, we're going to give you the money, make the game for the Switch, which I think was announced with Bayonetta specifically. Bayonetta 2 is where they did that. So it might just be a situation like that where it's like, hey, you know what? We like what you're doing. Please take this money, make it for us.
But why would, I'm curious, like, it's very Nintendo for them to go against the grain. And there's one part of me that's like, well, Nintendo's got a very multiplayer focus to their games sometimes. So it's very interesting that they're bankrolling a multiplayer game, when I almost wonder if like more people would flock to the Switch if it was a single, like, do you think more people would play it if it was a single player game?
Potentially. I think with it being multiplayer, is it strictly online in that case? Probably.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have all that information yet, because it's
hard to know with it being so far out. Even looking at the website, it's like, is this only? It's PvPvE, so it's probably got the online connection to it. It's hard to know. I would imagine if it were single player, it would draw a lot more people for sure. But with this being multiplayer, it might draw in a new audience of people that maybe weren't originally interested in it.
Yeah, I don't even see a proper Duskbloods page on the store, where usually it would say like this game is multiplayer with single player elements or whatever, like online play. But
so I think it's still a ways out to kind of make that judgment call. But I think people will come to it because it is FromSoft, and FromSoft makes really good games.
It's true. They do. I don't like any of them, but they're very good games.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm hoping they'll make another Armored Core, because Armored Core is my jam, but not relevant to this discussion.
They just did 6, right?
They did just do 6, but that doesn't. I want more. I crave more. Give me more mechs, please.
Well, hopefully it sold well, and they'll do that, because it was like there's a long stretch there where they stopped doing anything but Soulslikes, right? And then they returned to Armored Core.
Yeah, seemingly just it kind of blew up the internet for a bit. Like, oh my god, at least my circle of the internet, it blew up. Everyone was just loving it, and I love it so much. But with regards to this conversation, I think it'll draw more people, and then I expect with it being PvPvE, it may draw in more people. Will it have the staying power to stick around? That's a different question. Without having it in my hands to play, or even just like seeing a demo of it, I can't say. I hope it does, but...
Well, I would be remiss to not mention the creator behind all these games, the person who kind of invented the Souls-like. And it's always a little confusing when people call him by his last name, Miyazaki, because I always think of Hayao Miyazaki, who does the Studio Ghibli films. But Hidetaka Miyazaki is the person in charge at Fromsoft, where he makes all the games. He's in charge of all... I don't know if they have other directors. I don't know who directed Nightreign, but I have to imagine that Miyazaki had some input because these are his babies, you know? Mm-hmm. So I just thought it's important for a Souls-like episode to mention that this is the person, the mind behind all these games. So... And he is directing. It does say here in this interview on Nintendo's website about the Duskbloods that he is the director for the Duskbloods as well. So he is, if he wasn't in charge of Nightraign's multiplayer, he will be in charge of all the stuff for Duskbloods, which I think is important that it's being directed by like Miyazaki proper and not, you know, someone else, because it really puts them, you know, it makes it feel more, I guess, legitimate. Not to say that any other directors can't do a good job, but like it makes it feel like this is Nintendo's big money spend on a From Software game, and that if this goes well, there might be more. I know Sony, they bankrolled Bloodborne and they bankrolled Demon Souls, the remake specifically of Demon Souls, because I think not the original. So, and people are wondering like why Bloodborne hasn't gotten a remake or a port or a remaster or like 60 FPS enhancement patch. Hopefully Nintendo will be a little bit better about supporting games after they release, although Nintendo's historically worse than Sony. So anyway,
it's hard to say. Part of me is thinking that Nightreign was a test for Duskbloods. Like this 3-player thing is now blooming into an 8-player type of game. Maybe this was a testing ground. Like, let's see how it works. What doesn't work? Maybe we can fiddle with it and see what goes. Because they just put out like a 2-player like a version of the experience in Nightreign, so you can play with just one other person instead of getting a group of 3.
So when you say 8-player, though, that's for Duskbloods, correct?
That's for Duskbloods specifically, sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Duskbloods being 8 players. I
think it's interesting when you make, like, in my brain, like, it's always 2 players or 4 players. I've never 3 players. I'm curious. I wonder what's the reasoning, do you think, behind 3 players for Nightreign? I'm
curious if it's to... It doesn't stop players from just picking the same, like, Nightfare, but maybe it was to kind of like, okay, one player is going to play, like, the more magic-inclined character, another one's going to play a ranger, the other person is going to play, like, the frontliner. Maybe it was to encourage that kind of play style. Not necessarily... Players don't necessarily do it because, you know, players find the meta, they eat that meta up completely and devour it and solve the game, but I think it was to encourage that kind of more balanced team. I would wager that's what my brain says, thinking about it in like from a developer side of things. And that's what I think would be what they would do. Try and encourage that kind of play style.
Okay, well, I have one final question for you. This has kind of been an informal interview, just to kind of guide our discussion. But my final question, my final ask of you is if you had any advice, for example, for someone like me who's never played a Bloodborne, like a Souls-like, like a Bloodborne, a Dark Souls, what have you, before, someone like me, and I'm intimidated by the genre, like I think it's going to be too hard. If you had to give me or any listeners who might be interested but scared, what kind of advice would you give us for, you know, beginners?
I think you find one of these games that resonates with you. It doesn't necessarily need to be one of the specific games that we've spoken about specifically. It could be like an indie game. If you've ever watched or heard of Iron Pineapple on YouTube, he has a regular series all about Soulslikes where he finds them, plays them, gives them a little bit of a review. Maybe start there. Maybe see if you find something in one of those videos that kind of like, oh, that sounds good. That looks cool. Give it a shot. The worst thing that you can do is bounce off of it and say, this isn't for me. I picked up a game called Fly Night, which is a first-person like melee combat game from one of his videos, and I beat it yesterday, and I loved every minute of it. It was a short 5-hour experience, but I enjoyed it completely from start to finish. It was a kind of like a breath of fresh air. Similar like bonfire system, obtuse lore, but it made sense by the end, and I understood it. But it was fun. Like, just try something. Be it Salt and Sanctuary for a 2D game, Fly Night if you want something a little bit different, or even one of these more traditional Souls-like experiences. I think it's just worth it to try it and see what it's all about.
Now, the game I'm about to mention here is not actually made by From Software, despite the naming convention. It's called Titan Souls, and it's a 2D version of like a Dark Souls kind of game. It was given out for free on Steam, I want to say 5, maybe 6 years ago. It's been a while. It's been in my library for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I never tried it because I'm scared. But I claimed it because I was like, oh, I would rather play a Zelda-like Souls-like than like, you know, something 3D. It seems like 2D might be a little bit more my speed. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if you've heard of Titan Souls and if you have anything to say about that. That might convince me to finally boot it up.
Titan Souls it's not necessarily a Souls-like. It is, if I'm remembering correctly, it's more like a boss rush where you go into arenas and fight bosses, where you only have one hit to make it through. It is not an easy game.
One hit? Oh yeah, no, I'm out. That's it. I'm done. See ya.
It is rewarding. I think I'm remembering it now. I'm playing it in my head. I'm like, yep, that's it. It was rewarding to get through it, but it is not easy by any means.
That's fair.
That one might not be the best one to start off with.
Well, maybe I will try Elden Ring if it comes to Switch too. Mm-hmm. We'll see. Yeah, I'm not sure where I'll play it. Maybe I'll play it on PS5 when it goes on sale, but we'll see. I have a lot to play at the moment, so starting a Souls-like is not at the top of my list, but it is something that like I kind of want to get over one day. But I am also famously very bad, or infamously very bad at video games. Even the games that I'm good at and I enjoy and I play a lot, I'm still horrible at Mario Sunshine. That first boss fight with Peter Piranha, can never beat it first try. I always die, and I've played it like 100 times. So I'm very bad at video games. But that is all the time we have. Cleo, thank you so much for joining me to talk about Soulslikes. I'm sure as more Soulslikes release, this year, next year, we'll be talking about them as well when you join us. So I'm just curious, where can people find you?
I don't have a lot of social media, but you can find me on Instagram at Cleosified. That is classified, but with Cleo at the front. Otherwise, I think that's it. I don't have a lot of socials out there. A lot of it's very private. So that's it.
All right. That's great. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me again.
You'll be back.
Oh no, that's a threat.
Thanks to your avatars for joining me for another episode of your Queer Video Game Podcast. If you've made it this far into the episode, I really appreciate you taking the time to support queer-made content. If you want to support the show, it would be really great if you could leave a rating, review, or comment on your preferred podcast platform. I welcome you to check out the website trueavatarspodcast.com, all one word. That's trueavatarspodcast.com. You can also find the show on Blue Sky, Threads, and YouTube under the handle @trueavatars, all one word, and on Instagram under trueavatars. Importantly, if you or anyone you know is queer and involved with video games in some way, please don't be shy. I would love to hear from more queer voices in video games. Your voice is unique and valid and worth sharing with the world. And if you don't want to be on the show or know anyone who's interested, but you know about a cool queer video game or a games industry story that's queer related, please let me know. The show's official email is trueavatars.podcast@gmail.com. That's trueavatars.podcast@gmail.com. You can also feel free to reach out via the website or the aforementioned social media pages. Things are tough out there, and queer people need to stick together when we can. Bye, True Avatars. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next week. Take care and stay safe.